My name is John Roberts. I was born in Kent County, Washington. When I was, I'd say 5 or 6, I always saw these Marine commercials on TV, you know, and I was like, I think that's what I want to do with my life. When I turned 17, the recruiter came to the school, joined the Marine Corps in South Carolina. Right out of high school, I was 18. I joined because I wanted to know that I was doing something good for the country. All I could think about when I joined was, you know, man, I want to go overseas. I want to be like those guys that have already been there. That, you know, they talk about it all the time. I want to be like those guys. You know, those are the true fighters, the true war heroes, that stuff. You know, I never thought that I would go over there and get shot, and then above that, live to come home and talk about it and survive. You know, the base that we were on was Saddam Hussein's like living grounds. I was shot outside of the gate by a vehicle that was passing by to the left. I was in the prone position. It was a through and through wound, just right here in my neck. I've got a spot here and a spot here. The shrapnel is still in there from the bullet. The bullet was so hot that it cauterized itself. When it hit me, I bled for 8 minutes and then I stopped bleeding. I have shrapnel throughout my face on the right side. I had some pieces in the back of my shoulder blade. I actually pulled those out a couple days after I got shot. Another one I was shaving and it came out. I was on a dismounted patrol my 3rd day in Iraq. We were actually guarding the Seabees at the time, so the Seabees were doing construction work around us. And I saw a guy walking on the rooftop, you know, and I pointed it out to my sergeant. I saw the cars creeping up the road, blocking the traffic, and it wasn't more than, I would say, 200 feet. And the guy that was on the roof was gone. And then I looked back to the left and there was no cars that way. The last time when I turned my head to the right, I heard a loud pop and then I heard like a snap. And I snapped my head back to the left and that's when I was hit. It felt like 10,000 bee stings. That's the best way I can describe it. A matter of millimeters, you know, if I hadn't turned my head to the left. They also then told me there was 2 shooters. After I was shot, the bullet went through my neck and I heard another bang, and when I turned my head to the right, I got hit again and it stopped in my collar protector. So I was actually, technically I was hit twice, but I was wounded once.
My name is Jerry Donnellan. I was born in Nyack. I currently live in Valley Cottage. I'm the director of the County Veterans Office, which generally speaking means helping veterans get what's coming to them in terms of the GI Bill, compensation, home loans, any of that stuff. I had no want to go into the military. That was even before Vietnam was an issue. I was drafted in July of 1968. I went to Vietnam in the summer of 1969, served there for roughly 4 months until I was wounded. So I was out putting a Claymore mine in this gully in front of my position, and I carried a shotgun. I saw this Vietnamese person come out of the bushes, and I really didn't think anything of it. And it wasn't until I saw him reach back and catch the sling of an AK-47 coming down that I realized that he was going to shoot me. I just let go and I hit him mid-body, upper body, and in the head. And with buckshot, basically took the top half of his body off. He went backwards into the bushes. I went running back to the relative safety of the perimeter. A few days after that, we'd gone through a village and try and get information out of him, which was useless. We walked out of that village after the Papasan had told us that everything was great. We were number 1. We walked up the trail going out of the village, got a few yards up that trail, and the kid in front of me hit an anti-vehicle mine, and he just turned to a red mist. I had pieces of that kid on my shirt. We got into more difficult situations, and I had been hit again. And I was in a hole, and there were 2 guys in the hole with me, just a little trench. A grenade came in. I hit the 2 guys next to me and told them to get out of the hole. And then I tried to get out, but I couldn't because this arm had now swollen up from the earlier wound. My leg had also been wounded, so I just couldn't get out of the damn hole. I grabbed my rucksack and threw it down on the grenade, hoping to absorb some of the hit. Started to push out again. The thing went off, and I flew. I hadn't felt any pain or anything. I was just, son of a bitch, that was the loudest thing I ever heard. And I picked up my right arm to reach for something, and it fell off from mid-shaft. I had a double compound fracture. A large piece of frag went right through, broke both the bones, and both the bones were sticking out on both sides. And then I picked up this leg, and it was all gut shot. I picked up this leg, and it was gone. If all this damage has been done, why aren't I feeling more pain? All I felt was this great burning sensation.
When I was in Iraq, they gave me a ceremony.
Company, attention! Supervisor Birch, front center.
Post! March!
They did give me a Purple Heart when I was in Iraq, but after that, everybody made fun of me. They were like, dude, you gotta be stupid to get shot. What the hell's the matter with you? Calling me names and making fun of me and stuff like that. They didn't understand. I was told when I got back from Iraq, I asked to deploy again, and they said that I couldn't because I had a Purple Heart. So I said, well, if I can't go back to Iraq, then there's no reason for me to be in the military, you know? Like, that's what I want to do. I wanted to go back to Iraq. And now, if I went back to Iraq, I'd probably just try to hurt everybody I see, you know? And that's not the right reason to go.
Well, I work primarily with people who have experienced combat trauma or people who have experienced sexual trauma. In sort of less clinical terms, as a normal reaction to an abnormal event. So something that is really kind of outside of the realm of kind of expected human experience. But the kinds of things that people experience in combat are kind of outside that realm of expectation.
I'm sure I had and probably still have post-traumatic stress. But back in the day, you were either sane or you were crazy. And I convinced him I was sane somehow, so obviously the system didn't work then either.
I'm currently being treated for traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, insomnia.
I think anyone with even moderate PTSD often has a pretty severe sleep disturbance and nightmares. And a lot of the returning veterans have issues about driving because that's where a lot of events occurred, was on the road. And then the anger issues, where the anger and controllingness can make life pretty difficult. There's big problems with regulation of affect, regulation of emotion, disinhibition. And then if you add alcohol or drugs to that, you get even more disinhibition. So that's where the explosive anger comes from. That's where the even physical acting out will come from, is that disinhibition.
I never really had a temper. I never really was mean. I wasn't a rude guy, and now it's just like, I feel like driving down the road, I see cars and people cutting me off, it'll make me angry. Or people driving slow will make me angry. Or people riding my bumper will make me angry. Like going over a pothole and feeling the car shake back and forth just reminds me of being back in Iraq. To me, it's not normal, but To other people, it's just like, oh, everybody acts that way. I don't think I drink more than anybody. I think that they drink less. But yeah, as in regards to probably what should be the appropriate amount of drinking, I think I probably have a couple beers more. There's times when, like I said, I'm watching a movie and I start crying. I can relate it to something that happened in my lifetime, and that never used to happen. And like I'll start tearing up or something, you know. I'm like, I shouldn't be crying. What's wrong with me? Because I'm supposed to be a big tough man.
For nothing. What will become of us, the glorious veterans? Oh, I shiver every minute. I said, hey.